Buy one, get one for $1 at McDonald's. Or as we like to call it, the can't have just one deal. Mix and match a sausage biscuit, sausage McGriddles, McChicken biscuit, chicken McGriddles, or crispy hash browns. Want 2 sausage biscuits? Buy one, get one for $1. Want a sausage biscuit and hash browns? That's cool too. Choose more of what you love. Buy one, get one for $1 at McDonald's. Prices and participation may vary. Valid for item of equal or lesser value. Cannot be combined with combo meal.
British Columbia to you listening around the world. This, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. If you want to take a listen to our archives, we have them free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a great rundown for you tonight. First 2 hours, author Janis Harper is here to talk about her brand new book, Jonas on the Mountain. We're going to get into spirituality. We're going to get into psychic intuition and a lot more with Janis tonight. I'm very much looking forward to it. Then in hour number 3, we go into the swamp. Swamp Dweller will be here. It's Dave versus Dave time. We got the Magic 8 Ball in the back end of hour 3, Shirky Poo's News, and the Thought of the Dave. A jam-packed show for you tonight. Janis Harper is a writer, singer-songwriter, actor, and a former adjunct English professor turned expressive arts therapist. Her writing can be found in literary journals and anthologies around Canada and North America, including 2 creative nonfiction anthologies that she conceived and edited. She has a brand new book out called Jonas on the Mountain that gets into everything from intuition to psychic ability and the metaphysical universe that is out there. She is a proud BCer, much like I am, British Columbia, that is, for our American friends. Her website, janisharper.ca. Janis, thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight. How are you?
I am feeling really good, Dave. Thank you so much for having me. And wow, what a community of listeners you have there. Big shout out to everybody everywhere. Hello.
Well, you know what? We really appreciate our people here because it is one of those things that we really don't have a show if we don't have them. So, I mean, it's really cool each and every night to see this chat room absolutely go wild, and it's pretty damn cool. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us, Janis. How is Vancouver Island this beautiful night?
Well, it's been raining a little bit. There was a lot of snow, but now the snow is melted and the temperatures are getting higher. So, yeah, it's quite comfortable, quite nice. And how about where you are, way in the...
We actually hit plus temperatures today. It warmed up. It was 1 degree Celsius, which is about 33 degrees Fahrenheit for our American listeners. And I'll tell you, it started to rain. I haven't seen the rain in months, and it started to rain. And, I haven't seen pavement in weeks because the snow has been so compact on the highways and in my area, and I actually saw pavement today. It's those little victories knowing that the days are getting longer right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, we got up to, I think, 9 degrees Celsius today, so we're getting pretty toasty.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Janis, let's learn a little bit about you. You're a former adjunct English professor. Where were you doing that?
I was teaching both for a while at SFU, Simon Fraser University, and then at Douglas College. Yeah, in the Lower Mainland. Well, in Vancouver, basically, for about 20 years, off and on, and then I changed careers at midlife to become an expressive arts therapist.
Well, I don't blame you for that because as a graduate of the British Columbia Institute of Technology, I do have to give you a thumbs down on your schools. That's just the competitive nature that we have.
Yeah.
You know, to say sorry about your choices of teaching area. No, I'm teasing. I am big time teasing there. But
I know you are.
I mean, why make the change? Why decide to go from an educational background to all of a sudden doing what you felt you needed to do?
Well, that's a good question. I loved teaching, and I feel that I'm always an educator, no matter what I'm doing. It's part of me. It's in my blood and bones. I had always been drawn to counseling and to being a therapist, and I had tried talk therapy in my past, and it just didn't work for me. And then at one point, I discovered this thing called expressive arts therapy, which uses all of the arts modalities in creative and free-flowing ways in a therapeutic session. And being someone who is an artist, as you mentioned, I'm a singer-songwriter, an actor, and writer, this fit me like a glove. And as well, it also fit my my spirituality and my feeling that everything occurs in the moment and that you always have everything with you. And that can come out through the body and through the senses and through the arts. So in expressive arts therapy, we bypass the mind. It fit me like a glove, and it just felt that for me, it was time for change. It had been 20 years that I was doing the teaching. Mind you, it wasn't a solid 20 years. It was off and on. I was doing other stuff as well. It just felt like it was time for change. And I do change things up in my life fairly often. I just moved here to Vancouver Island a couple of years ago. So does that answer your question?
Well, it does. And Vancouver Island's beautiful. And, I lived there for 2 years to start my radio career in Parksville and in Nanaimo, where you're located. And I'll tell you, I mean, between you and me, I loved the island, but it never felt like home to me. I always felt like I was stranded. And, I was in my mid-20s, and I had stepped away first of my group of friends to graduate from college and take a career, and it led me out of town, and I didn't have any friends there, and it was a lonely place, and I hated every minute of it. I'm sure it'd be different now, but I mean, Vancouver Island is absolutely gorgeous. It really is.
Yeah, and Nanaimo's probably grown since you were here. There's a thriving arts community in music and writing and theater. Yeah, I'm just getting to know it really myself. Were you with Chile Radio when you were here?
I started off in Parksville at a little beach radio station there, and then I moved over to Nanaimo at the Wave. I believe it's 102.3 or 102.5 FM, the Wave. And there was the news station back then. It was an AM station that is no longer there anymore. So it's a big difference right there. So it is something that, you know what, I spent a couple of years there. Then I went into radio in Vancouver after that. And then I realized that, with radio, there was something that, when you have a work in full-time journalism, the one thing that I learned very quickly is you have to make certain sacrifices to do that. So my sacrifice half the time in between paychecks was food or gas to get to work. And,
right.
So, you know what? It worked out, though. It worked out, and here we are. And a number of years later.
And there you are.
Number of years later, and we're right back in the saddle making things happen. Now, for you, I mean, your book, Jonas on the Mountain, is fiction, and we're going to get into that a little bit later in the show. But I want to learn about you here a little bit for our audience. For you, when you are doing this, were you always an intuitive person or have interest in the intuition? How did it work for you?
Okay, are you speaking in terms of the book, Jonas on the Mountain, or are you just speaking in terms of me as a person?
Janis right now.
Yeah, certainly. All my life, I was born very, I guess you could say, psychically active and aware, and also very spiritual. At 14, I was chanting an hour a day in front of my Butsudan because I found Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, Nichiren Shoshu Buddhism, and so I became very disciplined in chanting with that, and then I became drawn to Eastern religion, mysticism, philosophy, and also discovered channeled material, like the Seth material channeled by Jane Roberts when I was 17, and that resonated with me deeply. I felt I already knew everything that was being conveyed. So, yeah, in my book, Jonas and the Mountain, A Metaphysical Love Story, there's a character named Anamika, and in one of the early chapters, she has an experience when she is about 11 or 12, and I am both Anamika and Jonas in the book. And her experience, as it says in the book, in biological terms, it could be considered the opening of the pineal gland. But for Anamika and for me too, it was a blasting open into a widening of dimensions and glimpses of infinity that to me really knocked me off any kind of semblance of normality. And these would occur, something that occurred at night, and I was very scared that this thing would happen. It wasn't like a nightmare. It was like I didn't know what it was, and I didn't know if I liked it. And that occurred in adolescence. And really, so what happened, again, is described in the book in a fictional way through Anamika, but that was my experience as well. And I have had experiences with, oh, I shouldn't even say experiences, practices with channeling, for example, and all sorts of other stuff. I mean, it's hard even to categorize, all of the different modes of what you could call intuition or spiritual, psychic understandings or knowings or being like the hollow reed, the open channel where one just downloads information sometimes. Yeah.
Now, as a teenager and growing up, were you getting downloads and messages from the other side?
First of all, I wouldn't characterize it as the other side. I don't see there as being sides. And I use the word download actually because I heard you use it. I listened to your interview, Dave, with Nicole recently, and that expression came to me because I think you used it. So here I am on your show talking to your people. I figure I should borrow some of your language. I can't say that there was information coming in terms of channeling, and I've had again quite a long relationship with that later in life. But as a young person, I can just say that I felt that I knew some stuff and that my world was very wide and that the physical world wasn't as solid and objective that other people seemed to figure it was. For me, it wasn't. It was more like a reflection of myself rather than something separate from me. So I see the world that way, and that's why. And on another level, that when you talk about other sides, I don't see other sides. I see everything as reflective and metaphorical, and originating from you, from the person.
So, did you also get contact from spirit and entities from the other side or from wherever they are whether it was a deceased relative or your spirit guides, were you being guided that way as well?
Are you speaking of are we still speaking of
always
adolescent Janis, or are we speaking of just sort of in my life as a whole?
Let's just go to Janis's life right now. We got you lying on the couch staring at the ceiling here. Tell me, Janis.
Okay, so I'm going to speak of my book again.
That's fine.
Jonas and the Mountain, a metaphysical love story. In Jonas and the Mountain, the Jonas character hears voices, and strange poems start to come to him. So the poems that come to him in the book are poems, and also there are passages, prose passages, that came to me in the same way they came to Jonas. That is, they arrived when I stepped aside. There is an equivalence made in the book between Jonas's experiences and Coleridge, when Samuel Taylor Coleridge wrote Kubla Khan. And then Jonas says that before he'd attributed it to the drug that Coleridge took before he napped out, but then this thing happened to him. So there are certainly, I've had times of automatic writing. So you can call it automatic writing or channeling. I was with someone for quite a while who channeled in the same way, that very similar way that Jane Roberts channeled Seth. And I was like I was characterized by his larger entity, or what was just the larger entity described as, the name was an actio. We each have our actio. I was described as the one who was holding the gate open for the transmission to occur, which is appropriate because my name is Janis, and like the god Janus or Janus is a two-headed god looking into the past and future, and is also the keeper of the gate. So through this partner and I, we that kind of channeling was, he would just go into a complete trance and just drop out and have no idea what was going on. And I would tape, because it was back in the days with the audio tape, and I would audio tape and create the dialogue, much like Robert Butts did with Jane Roberts. And then after, I would transcribe, etc. And we ended up with reams of really fascinating and quite intellectually dense material on all sorts of stuff, just like Seth does, the nature of reality and everything, everything around it. So there was that. For me personally, I don't channel that way. I don't drop out and go into a trance, or have not done that yet, because for me, it's all really fairly semi-conscious. But there is an altering of the state of consciousness where all I can describe it is I listen very intently. So I open my inner senses and drop into myself and listen. And from there, that's really what creativity is, isn't it? From there, that's where novels come from, and art, or whether it's a novel, or whether it's recently I have a book of poetry that's called Sounding Socrates, being shopped around to publishers, and in that I am letting Socrates talk to me. So yeah, it's not as it's not like what Jane Roberts did with Seth, and it's not like what this partner did with his larger entity. What I do, yeah, is more of a conscious, open channel and listening. And sometimes, if I feel like dropping out, I might just put my hands on the keyboard or my pen on the paper and then tune out and just let whatever come. And that's really cool too. And that ended up in my book as well. And a lot of what is in the book, the teachings from the Western psychic Anamika, those come from me, but also more through me. Again, not in a trance state, but when I was behaving like an open channel and just tuning in, listening, simply.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, Dave?
Absolutely. So my follow-up question is, we got about 3 minutes to go until the break here at the bottom of the hour. Would you consider yourself a channeler?
No, I wouldn't. Not in the traditional sense. Not like Jane Roberts was, and not like this partner was, where I had a specific role. It wasn't. I wasn't the channeler. I was the one holding the gate open so that the transmission could occur. So I have a role in more traditional channeling, but I wouldn't call myself a channeler. However, I would say that I am a channel, but I'm a channel like we all are, or can be. How about that?
Well, you know what? I think anybody, once you're tuned into that ethereal world, that anybody can really channel anything. It's just a matter of whether or not you can get yourself in tune to do it.
Yes, exactly. That's I agree with that, Dave.
Yeah, it's not easy, but I mean, it happens. It happens every now and again. You're just sitting there. Next thing you know, hot damn, you got ghosts on the brain talking away through you. It does happen.
Kind of like a radio frequency, eh?
Could be. Could be.
Yeah, tuning into radio.
Socks are the #1 most requested item at homeless shelters. Underwear second, and shirts are third. At Bombas, socks were first, made with comfortable details for everyday wearing. Then underwear, and shirts too, all designed to perfectly fit. At Bombas, every item you purchase means you're donating an essential clothing item to someone in need. One comfortable clothing item for you, one donated to someone in need. Bombas, comfort for all. Get 20% off your purchase at bombas.com/comfy.
In the time before AT&T Fiber Internet.
What? What are you doing in me dungeon?
It's the only place where the bloody Wi-Fi works.
Oh, and you don't mind the spiders?
Spiders? What spiders? Oh no, they're everywhere! Oh!
In the time after AT&T Fiber Internet.
It's nice having fast, reliable Wi-Fi in the whole house.
For sure.
The dawn of a better internet era with AT&T Fiber.
Limited availability in select areas. Check eligibility at att.com/getfiber. AT&T Smart Wi-Fi extenders may be required. Sold separately. Restrictions apply.
Frequencies. Where you hear that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So when spirit communicates with you, is it happening often? Is it something you can control? As we got about 90 seconds.
Yeah, it's something that I am aware of. Sometimes it comes like in a flash, and other times it is more something that I can control by tuning into. Mm-hmm.
So do you sit down in your favorite recliner, maybe on the deck, and relax a little bit, and then just kind of try and figure out what the message of the day is?
No, it's not so. I want to say black and white, so we're not talking of words on a page here, but it's more organic throughout the day. It's more how I live. It's more where I live. It's not something that I go and do, or that I use a pendulum for, or it's just, it has a more organic way of appearing, which all has to do with how I see the world and my life. I mean, it's not separate from that. There are no boundaries between what seems to be outside and what is inside.
Okay. Well, on that note, we're going to take a quick break here on Spaced Out Radio. Author Janis Harper, Jonas on the Mountain, is her new book. You can find more information at janisharper.ca as we continue on tonight. Spirituality, Zen, Psychic Intuition on Spaced Out Radio. And there we go. We're clear.
Okay, we're not on anymore.
Well, the people on YouTube can hear us. The radio side is.
Oh,
yeah. The people on
hi,
YouTube.
people on YouTube. Okay, I'm going to just go away for a couple of minutes.
You
if that's
go.
Okay. Okay.
You go.
Thanks. Okay.
What's happening, everyone? Hope you all having a good night. If you guys want to know what Bart L looks like, or the Kingdom of Barther, or Kingdom of Bart looks like, let me just show you a little picture of him that he sent me the other day, right here. Right there. This is what Bart looks like right here. Yeah, that's our buddy King Barther right there. Hey, it's gorgeous Lynn Sows. It's been a while. Nice to see you. Happy New Year to you. Chris Mo, what's going on? The lovely Shar, what's happening?
I'm back. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. So can the audience. We're all just hanging out.
Hi. Oh, just hanging out, doing our things.
That's what we do. That's what we do. It's how we roll around here, nice and chill and relaxed.
Sweet.
Yeah. It is kind of sweet. Yeah,
You have loyal followers.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. They are pretty cool. All right. Let's see here. Put that up there. The only problem with most of them is they enjoy eating breakfast foods for dinner, and I'm not appreciative of that. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. It's craziness.
You've never had breakfast?
I don't eat.
You've never had breakfast for dinner?
Never, never. It's a sin. Absolutely a sin. But that's okay.
Nothing like bacon and eggs for dinner.
No, not this guy.
Yum.
Not this guy. There's a reason why they're titled breakfast foods. I stick to it.
Oh,
I actually did one of those. There was one of those memes that popped up on somebody that I follow, and it was like, what food did you eat as a kid that you absolutely refused to eat as an adult? And pork chops for me. I haven't had pork chops in about, oh goodness, how old am I? 48. I probably haven't had pork chops in 30 years.
Wow. Huh. Don't really know what to say to that, Dave.
No. Done with pork chops. Yeah.
Done with pork chops.
Oh, yeah.
You eat other parts of the pig?
Oh, yeah. Bacon and bacon and bacon. And ham.
Ah, and ham. Ham occasionally.
Yeah, but pork chops, no way. I'm out. Greenheart in the chat room. I just had fried eggs and ham for dinner in chilly Vermont, 0 degrees Fahrenheit tonight. Yeah, well, you ate breakfast for dinner, and that's wrong. That's just completely wrong. Oh, all right, Indrid Cold, nice to see you. And let's see. I just want to say a quick thank you to our good buddy Sebastian for the amazing super chat tonight. thank you, Sebastian, for your love of this show and our friendship. Really appreciate the love. And a super chat is a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you. Thank you to all the veterans out there who are tuning us in. I talked to Lynn Wallington earlier today. She is pumped up about returning from COVID and getting back on the air this weekend with Spaced Out Weekend, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, followed up by the After Hours show with Gemma, Big Willie, and John Hudson. It's always a good time with them. Hi, Derek Cook. How you doing? And Mr. Stylin' Profiling right there. And the gorgeous Kim Jellin, good to see you. Here we go, everyone. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with Janis Harper. JanisHarper.ca is her website where her brand new book, Jonas on the Mountain, is now out. You want to check that out. It's in every major bookstore. Hanging on out with Janis, talking all things Zen and Chi. We're finding it tonight. Janis, welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be here. Zen and Chi, huh? Okay.
Absolutely. So right before the break, we were kind of talking about psychic communication with spirit. Are you in touch with your spirit guides?
The term spirit guides, that's not something that I would use personally. Not saying that they don't exist, but I see whatever can be called guides or what you call guides as either aspects of my greater self, my multidimensional self, the self that of which all of my incarnations and various personalities that exist in other dimensions or in other times and places, of course. I would associate those with being what you call guides. So being in touch with spirit guides, yeah. And again, for me, it's not so much tapping into something outside of myself. That's sort of what I want to say, period. That I don't really see guides as being outside of myself. And when I say myself, I'm not referring to myself as my personality or as the character Janis. I'm referring to a larger self. So, yeah, one can say that that I am in touch with what you call spirit guides and what probably a lot of other people do. I just don't use that term myself.
Which term do you use?
I would talk again about listening. Listening to my larger self in its vitality and creativity and in its extension through multiple dimensions and ways of being and characteristics. yeah, I would talk about a listening.
Okay, so how do you know then who is listening?
Pardon me?
How do you know then who is listening?
Well, it's always me who's doing the listening. It's me, Janis, who is listening in as carefully as I can. Maybe the question is, how do I know who is responding or answering? And oftentimes I don't really.
All right. So when you look at,
I don't know. I feel like.
Go ahead,
sorry.
please.
No, I feel like I'm getting kind of muddled and lost in. I think it has to do with language, but I'm very aware that I'm on your show, Dave, and I'm very aware of the places that you come from and that a lot of your listeners are. So, yet my experiences are perhaps not so closely aligned with yours. I don't know. And I'm just wanting to stay very conscious that I'm not bending my own experience to suit the context of this show.
No. I mean, that's fine and dandy. Yeah. But you know what? Your experience and the way you experience is also very important for our listeners to hear, because not all the experiences are the same. All of the experiences that we hear are usually different. So the fact that maybe you haven't used the same terminology as we have, or the fact that you haven't experienced what we've had, that's okay. That is quite okay, because the one thing that we've learned through this entire journey through this show is that everyone has their own unique experience that is to them. And with you describing what you've learned through your own contact and through your own intuition and everything can help other people who may not be as forward about coming out. So that's why it's kind of important.
Yeah, and in recent interviews, I'm frankly used to talking about more of this in the context of my book, which is fine that we're not doing that. But what you said there regarding unique experiences, the character Anamika in my book, and to a large degree me as well, would say that really that's all there is. The unique experience, that there really isn't commonality of experience, that in a very real way, each of us lives in his or her own world, that there's really nothing out there but ourselves, or what we believe, or whatever we see is there specifically for us to learn from and to reflect ourselves back to us to learn from. So unique experiences, and I think each of us has unique experiences, and so unique that I don't know can you say for sure, Dave, that you know what someone else's experience is? I mean, you can share language, and you can share some semblance of objectivity, like when you say, okay, we had these experiences of UFOs or aliens. But how do you know that another person is experiencing what you experience?
You see, that's the interesting part. So, give you an example of that. There's been numerous people who have been on this show, or even in our chat rooms, who have explained that they have been in groups where they have seen things, but other people in that same group looking in that same spot see nothing. So it's almost like the message is laid out just for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would widen that to absolutely everything in your world. everything, the people you meet, the events in your life, the objects around you. I would say that is all you as well. That your inner landscape is what you see outside of yourself. That is you reflected. That everything outside of yourself is a mirror, and perhaps doesn't exist, perhaps does not have an objective reality. Anamika in my novel could be described by some as a metaphysical solipsist. So that's sort of the philosophical category, perhaps, that I'm speaking of.
Okay.
But what you just said there, okay, yeah.
Do you think then that the spiritual side of everything is a lot more philosophical than what we give it credit for?
Oh, I'm not sure I know what you mean by that. A lot more philosophical.
Well, a lot more deep, a lot more connected than what we are experiencing on our own.
I'm sorry. Could you say that in another way? That the spiritual.
Okay, the experiences that people are having, okay,
yeah,
are very deep to them. But are we understanding the philosophical nature of what those experiences truly mean? Are we smart enough to be able to do that?
Oh, well, I think it depends on the person. I think you're getting into questions of why, right? Or why or how, not just that something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, not just that something appears, but the meaning behind that. I would say that the meaning behind anything in your life that appears, whether it's an alien or whether it's a friend at the door or whether it's getting a new pet or the death of a friend or whatever is appearing in your life, bumping into someone at a cafe or just the house that you live in. I would say that anything and everything that appears in your life and in my life is not appearing just willy-nilly. It is there for you.
Okay. So do you think that is already lined up for us, like the path that we need to take? Or is that just rudimentary thinking?
I don't think there's any set path for people. I think we are creative beings. I think we create our lives like artists. I think each of us is an artist, engaged in our lives. We are holding a paintbrush and we're splashing paint on a canvas. And we're going, oh yeah, that's good. No, I'm not sure if I like that bit. Maybe I'll change that. How can I change that? Why did I put that there? What does that mean to me? What am I supposed to get from that? Okay, we'll splash a bit of paint over here. I think we are always artists engaged in our, in creating our lives. I don't want, when I say creating our lives, I don't mean, there is a common New Age adage, which is you create your reality through your beliefs. And while I believe that, I think that some people take it in quite a facile way. The whole, attracting and manifesting what you want into your lives. Oh, affirmations, or if I just change this belief, this will happen. I don't think it happens that way. I think that there is something larger that you need to drop into. So again, I'm talking about the greater self, and a listening in, a tuning in. And once you are aware or have the sense of your
Weight loss starts with the mind, and nobody knows this better than Martha Cameron, who lost 20 pounds on Noom Weight.
Yeah, I lost 20 pounds and kept it off.
So Martha, why did Noom Weight work so well for you?
Well, Noom was just a really positive weight loss experience for me, and compared to other weight loss programs, they gave me the freedom and flexibility to keep eating what I loved, and that made all the difference in the world because it made me actually enjoy the process. You know what I mean?
Oh, we know, Martha. Learn how Noom's psychological approach can help you lose weight at Noom.com.
Is Whataburger's Honey Barbecue Chicken Strip Sandwich a work of art? The 3 chicken strips covered in melted Monterey Jack cheese are a study in contrasts and surprise. And the honey barbecue sauce, while at first unexpected, becomes a sweet delight to the senses. Plus, there's the 2 thick slices of Texas toast that are the canvas for this tasteful creation. And you can eat it. How about that for a masterpiece you can really bite into? The Honey Barbecue Chicken Strip Sandwich at Whataburger. Just like you like it.
Yourself as a greater whole and as a multidimensional entity that that is inherently creative and inherently loving and inherently on the brink of discovery in each moment. Once you tune into that, then you can see how you are creating your reality, or how your reality is a reflection of you. And again, as I mentioned before, on one level, there's nothing else out there. Or Anamika in my novel would say, there's nothing else out there. It's all you. It's just you.
So by that thinking, even with the book, are you saying that you are your own god or goddess?
Depends how you are using the term God and Goddess. If you are using the terms as creative source, then on one level, yes, but it's not you. It's not you, again, as your personality or your character. You're not doing anything by enacting your will. You are doing it in conjunction with your greater self. And that's not to suggest that that is all there is, or that I believe there is all there is. This is at the crux of my novel, that there is, Jonas goes to India and sits with the guru and learns about enlightenment and non-duality, and great experiences openings into enlightenment and being in the indivisible whole and union with consciousness, capital C, consciousness and source. So there is that. And then there's Anamika, the Western psychic, who is talking more about like what we're talking about, more like metaphysics, and creating reality and the artistic creation of reality. And so this is really what my book, Jonas and the Mountain, a metaphysical love story, got to get that in there, is about. It's about the relationship between what you just referred to as God, and metaphysics and one's creative interaction, or one's creative reality. Does that answer your question, kind of?
I think it does. Yeah. I mean, doesn't that go along the sense of what is reality? Because your reality is different than mine. Mine is different from my parents and my children. Mine is different from my coworkers. You know? So, I mean, what is reality, and whose reality is right?
Well, I think that we each have individual realities. If there is a capital R reality, I think it is removed from the world of subject and object and duality. I think it has to do with God and source and consciousness, and however you want to describe that. But in terms of just small R reality, I think we each have are individual ones, and that they're the only crossover that's there is what we might have agreed upon in terms of some objecthood like tables and chairs. But even tables and chairs, at their, when you get right down to it, they're you get right down to the subatomic bits that are both waves and particles simultaneously. There's not really an independent existence there either. They're not something that we can see and notice as objective and separate from ourselves, because in the perceiving we change it. So yeah, I think that they're all of that, the material world, physical reality it's a suspect as waves and particles, subatomic bits that are waves and particles simultaneously. And I'm looking at you, Dave, and I think that you're looking at different people chatting, and I don't know if I can see that on my screen.
Well, you know what? I do. I'm the only guy here. I always multitask during this show, so it is very, very part of my job on a nightly basis. When you're a one-man show, I don't have a producer. Absolutely. I need a producer here.
Yeah. That's fine. I'm just really curious what people are saying. what the kind of chats that are going on.
Oh, no, we're all listening to you here. Talk away. We got about 3.5 minutes before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. Janis Harper is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, and we're talking all things intuition. She's got a brand new book out called Jonas on the Mountain, which we are going to get to in the next hour for sure, as well as audience questions. So for you, Janis, as we start to kind of wrap up this second half of the hour number one here, are you, when we talk about reality, are you saying that we have to find our own individual place in life, whether, take control of our life, to do what we have to do to make ourselves not only survive, but the other part of the emotions that go along with that, to find happiness, to find strength, to find the abilities to be able to do things ourselves?
I'm extremely non-prescriptive. I would never say that you need to do something or you must do something or you have to do something. So no, I wouldn't say that. But I would say that you have everything you need within you. You have what you need to make your life whatever you want it to be, or make it better, or to heal, or transform. You have it. You have it all. That's what I want to say. There's no must or should, or just that you got it. It's yours. It's yours for the taking. Yours for the taking. That's something that came channeled from an outside source recently. Yours for the taking. What am I saying? Of course, I have people. I have other stuff. I have stuff coming through me often. I didn't characterize that before, but whatever. Yeah, it's yours for the taking. Thank you. I was reminded of that.
How do we grab it though? And what is ours for the taking?
Everything. Everything you need is within you. There isn't anything outside of you. As much as you Spaced Out Radio, what is out there? It looks like there's something out there. But perhaps that is just existing in another dimension within you. Perhaps it's all within you. It's not out.
Now
and you have.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to repeat myself.
Okay.
You have everything.
You said something interesting to me there, which was it's about the dimension within you. As we got just over about 90 seconds to go here. Now, does that mean we all have dimensions inside of us, or do we look at that more scientifically and look at it where science believes we are multidimensional beings?
we are multidimensional beings. I can't see any way around that. We exist in many dimensions at once. I know this, and I think you and probably a lot of your listeners know this through experience, whether you see it as something projected outside of yourself, as something from outer space. Anamika says in Jonas and the Mountain that outer space is inner space turned inside out. So that's what I want to say. And that kind of, I hope that sort of brings it into some kind of summary, that it's really, we are working from the inside out. We are being from the inside out. And we are multidimensional.
Janis, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We are 1 hour down, 2 hours to go on Spaced Out Radio. Her latest book, Jonas on the Mountain. We're going to get into that coming up here on Spaced Out Radio next. For hour number 2, JanisHarper.ca is her website, so check it on out. Thank you, Phil, for that awesome super chat. Appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm going to leave you. I'm going to leave for a couple of minutes.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
And Dave, if you don't mind, the title of my book is Jonas and the Mountain.
Why did I get it? I read it wrong. It was typed wrong in here. Then okay, Jonas and the Mountain. Yes. Okay,
Jonas and the Mountain: A Metaphysical Love Story is the entire title.
I got it.
Yeah, so Jonas and the Mountain. Okay, thank you.
All right.
I'll see you in a couple of minutes.
No problem. All right. There we go. Reminds Filth of listening to late night radio with his grandpa. That's awesome. Yes, if you have any questions, all right. Fap, I'm going to do something here in order to get this going. It's going to be one-on-one. Where are you, Fap? It's going to be one-on-one. Right there. So that way you can't cheat. All right. Paul Perez, how are you? Nice to see you. Or is it Perez? It's probably Perez. Sorry about that.
$5 for bacon dinner tomorrow. There you go.
There you go. Dirty Filth would like to know, what is your preferred pizza preference?
You talking to me?
Yes.
No. My preferred pizza. Oh, gosh. I don't know. I'm pretty eclectic, just generally. Hey, I like anything, so not a lot of pepperoni. Why? Someone going to send me a pizza?
Well, I get Filth. You never know with him. You never know. Hi, Jeff Steve Garvey. How are you? Thanks for joining us.
It would be so much fun to see the chats. That's what I was referring to, Dave. I'm kind of envious of you looking at all these chats.
Oh, you can. Okay, so if you go up in the right hand, if you go up in the right hand corner, you'll see comments.
Yeah, I have it filling the screen. I see no comments. That's okay.
Oh, okay.
Never mind. I think when I play it back, I will, because when I listen to your other episodes, I can see that. So,
yeah.
Yeah. Are people saying anything about me?
Oh, they're loving you. They are loving you. Let me find some comments here. Hold on.
Ham and pineapple's good.
I like ham and pineapple.
Maybe mushrooms and olives. Oh, okay. Ham and pineapple, mushrooms, olives, maybe a couple of interviews. There you go, to whoever asked.
Let's see here. I'm just having to scroll back in the chat.
Dave, it's okay.
All
it's
right.
Okay. No worries.
There's Mennonite
You
Abe.
need it. Aw, Abe. Aw, thank you, sweetie. Oh, Oracles and Beyond. Okay, yay. Oh, wow, all the love. I love you back. I do. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, that was great. Now I feel I'm not so much speaking into this invisible audience. Thanks, Kara Angel. Yeah. As an actor and a singer-songwriter performer, I'm used to feeling the audience feedback. So that's why I was just wondering.
No problem. No problem. Look at Crow Creek here. Janis, you're the bestest, a lot better than Dave. There you go.
Yeah, right. That was out of love for Dave. I get that. Love the name, Crow Creek Cryptids. Whoa, that's awesome. And of course, you and Dave go way back.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Just for our chat room purposes, Bart L. is not returning to the chat room tonight. He says he's got to do some stretching, and he will prepare for FAP maybe on Friday. So the big battle chat room battle between FAP and Bart will take place this Friday night. It is a brawl for it all in our chat room, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, Sebastian and Phil, for the super chats. And here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. UBEAK. UBEAK is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire, checking out our swag as well. All of our shows are on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and of course we're now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with author Janis Harper. JanisHarper.ca. You can find her new book, Jonas and the Mountain, a metaphysical love story, which we are going to get into right now. Janis, welcome back.
Thank you. It's so much fun being here.
All right. Let's take us through this story here, if you don't mind, because this is your brand new book. It can be found on Amazon, which is a good one. and it's published by Sacred Stories Publishing, and we thank them for getting you for us tonight. And I'm curious, why did you choose the idea of Jonas on the Mountain as a setting about a Western psychic who knows everything?
Well, it's really both about an Eastern mystic and a Western psychic. The mountain exists in real life. In many ways, the novel is semi-autobiographical. The mountain is the holy mountain of Arunachala in South India, in Tamil Nadu, and it's considered by some to be the center of the universe, and it attracts spiritual seekers and sages from all over the world. And when you go there, it's really a practice in non-duality. It's where Ramana Maharshi lived. The mountain, Arunachala, was his guru, and he lived in caves in the mountain. And from this great sage who was a proponent of Advaita Vedanta, which is non-dualism, so a direct route to non-dualism, to enlightenment, to by sitting in silence and in stillness, and by not getting caught up in the distractions of the fictional physical world, one wears away the hypnosis and the addiction to that and achieves enlightenment. So there are many guru disciples that are lineage with Ramana Maharshi, including popularly Muji and Gangaji, and there's many other non-dualist teachers. Like you can say that Eckhart Tolle is a non-dualist teacher in the same kind of vein, and Deepak Chopra and Adyashanti, and one could go on and on. So Jonas ends up, after his life falls apart, going to this mountain and finding, surprisingly, because he wasn't looking, finding a guru who he basically falls in love with. He's an American guru, and this is very similar to what happened to me. And he experiences all sorts of miracles on silent retreat with this guru, and achieves a kind of enlightenment that's not lasting, but is a very large opening into it.
At Eckrich, we don't just believe in crafting the finest smoked sausage and deli meats in America. We believe in doing whatever it is you want to do. Treading your own path. Seeing the world. Doing what feels right. And getting creative by skipping the recipe. Because whether you want to change the world or just change up a weeknight classic, Eckrich has got one thing to say. You do you.
Finding the right person for the job isn't easy. Just ask someone who hired their personal trainer as a caterer.
All right, folks, let's keep this line moving. You there with the tongs. Picking up one Duchess potato at a time will not cut it at my catering table. Drop and give me 50.
But if you've got an insurance question, you can always count on your local Geico agent. They can bundle your policies, which could save you hundreds.
Okay, this is what we call the wild mushroom and asparagus dip, and press. Come on, let's get those plates above your heads.
For expert help with all your insurance needs, visit geico.com/local today.
Again, this is all based on my own experience at Mount Arunachala in India. I've been to India many times and would go on retreats. And then in the novel, Jonas, who has been writing poems that just come to him and hearing voices in his head, finds a connection with someone else there who is what is just could be described as a Western psychic, and her name is Anamika, and she comes from Vancouver. And so does Jonas, by the way. Vancouver plays in the book. And she opens up a whole other reality, and she has an explanation for the voices and the poems. And she gives her own teachings and holds her own satsangs at Mount Arunachala. And indeed, at the real Arunachala, there are various teachers. They're not all non-dualist teachers. There are people teaching all sorts of stuff. And so in the book, there are her teachings. which are about all sorts of subjects. In fact, at the back of the book, there is a subject guide to Anamika's talks. And just reading a few, there's After Death, Interpreting Life Story, Legacy, Reincarnation, Time, Dimensions, Partner Selves, Space Travel, The Body and Illness, Relationships, Control, Karma, Helping Others, Dreams, The Whole Self. And she discovers in her teachings a way to help her students bring it into themselves, what she is expressing. She discovers that, if she discovers ways through the arts, through writing and drawing and moving and sounding. And so she becomes an expressive arts therapist in a sense, by way of wanting to instill her teachings in her students in a very visceral kind of way. And so the book itself is not only a comparison of non-dualism and a system of metaphysics, and I say comparison because Jonas is trying to get at the capital T truth. He has had his experiences with the Guru D at Mount Arunachala on retreat that are very real experiences, and then he also has his other set of very real experiences that are more of a metaphysical nature. And then he ends up, in a sense, studying with Anamika and falls in love with her, but there's this triangle going on. There's a good story, a good love story going on there as well. So the book itself, aside from being a novel with a good story, it is also an expression of two different teachings. One, which is an Eastern mystical teaching that is rooted in what's called Advaita Vedanta and non-dualist. It has some similarities to Buddhism, so those of you who are familiar with Buddhism can think of it in that term. And then there are the teachings of Anamika, which are a unique system of metaphysics, and if it's going to be compared to anything, I would have to say Seth, but it's something that is uniquely mine. And in addition to that, there is also a self-exploration component through Anamika's exercises and meditations that are of an expressive arts nature. And in fact, in an appendix at the back of the book, there are, if you want to experience them for yourself, there are Anamika's exercises and meditations. And indeed, I have a podcast series on YouTube. It's called Jonas and the Mountain Journeys. You can find it on YouTube or on the Sacred Stories website or on Apple, wherein I read 10-minute excerpts in each episode from the book. And there's 8 episodes. And some of them are me speaking in the voice of Anamika and giving one of her teachings, and then leading the listener through an expressive arts activity that you can try on for yourself. And it's called Press Pause with Anamika, because it's meant to be a pause in your daily life at a time to listen into yourself. And there are worlds waiting to be discovered. And also, it's a press pause when you're listening to the podcast. You press pause, and then you do whatever the exercise that Anamika gives. She tells you to do something, so you press pause, and then you do it. It's like 5 minutes, and then you come back, and then you do another one. So, anyhow, that's a little description of the book in terms of its teachings. But it's also a pretty darn good story. One of my favorite customer reviews, I've gotten many wonderful ones, but one of my favorites, I think it should be a required reading for anyone incarnating on Earth. So I love that one.
Do you think that, in hearing you speak, I have to ask this, are you channeling Anamika, the character of the book?
In a sense, yeah. I don't really see any distinction anymore between Anamika and I. Her name, actually, I had no idea. It was given to me. I had no idea what it meant. And this was way before the book even was an apple in my eye. But this name came to me, and this is when I was doing a lot of automatic writing type channeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked it up, and what is this name? And the name means the nameless one, that there is no name. So that was pretty cool. And then later on, and then I started having to write these passages of what I already knew, information on the body and illness and relationships, and which ended up being part of the book, but I didn't know that at the time. And I didn't know that Anamika would be the name of the character in the book. The book really was like a gift to me, and I'm still in awe of it and learning about it myself. Frankly, the book poured out of me in 4 months. It was a few years ago, because it was a bit of a hard sell. I mean, it's a novel of ideas. It's philosophical. It's spiritual. It has expressive arts therapy. It's self-help. Doesn't fit in comfortably to many publishers' lists. So I didn't want to self-publish. I'm a published writer, and I wanted to find an actual publisher. So that took a while. But the novel came, and the structure came, and the structure itself is really quite unique and interesting, and a salient feature of the book. It's structured by the 5 elements, and it goes back and forth between philosophy. There's all sorts of cool stuff, including the guru's name, which is D, and that's not really a name because the rest of the name was erased. So we have the 2 teachers don't really have names. So yeah, the book itself was, it feels like my heart, frankly. It was a special gift, and it's, I'm really happy that it's being received so well. I knew that those who were in the target audience, so people who are into metaphysics or non-duality, would love it, but I'm really happy that it has more of a mainstream appeal. Anyhow, sorry, I'm kind of going on now.
No, I think it's great. I think it's great. You brought up automatic writing in regards to your communication with Anamika. I mean, what is that like to automatic write? A lot of people may not understand that.
Oh, okay. So actually, that's a teaching in the book. There is one of the exercises is Anamika shows you how you can communicate with one of your what she calls a partner self, but it is kind of like another life, one of your reincarnations, if you will. That's more commonly understood. But because she doesn't believe in that time and space exists, everything is simultaneous, so these selves exist all at once. But she has a teaching in the back of the book about how you can do that yourself, and that is a kind of automatic writing. So it's simply holding a pen loosely in your hand over a piece of paper, or putting your fingers lightly on a keyboard, and just not doing anything, not trying, just opening your inner senses and listening in. There is no doing, there is no trying, there is just relaxing and doing nothing. And then if something comes, if a word comes, then you write it or you type it, and you don't anticipate. You don't look for the next word. You just wait. And then sometimes there are sentences that will just come. In fact, can I, Dave, as an example?
Sure.
There's just a paragraph. Okay, so in the back of the book, here is that other lies exercise I was talking about. That is actually part of the novel itself. It is embedded within the novel, but it's also in a section at the back of the book for you to try on your own. So this is an answer to your question, really, for automatic writing. However, this automatic writing is writing that communicates specifically with a part of yourself. Other lies exercise, it's called. Hold your pen loosely in your hand. Keep a sheet of paper beneath it or nearby. Now close your eyes and sit any way that feels comfortable. Let your thoughts leave your mind. Don't push them out, just let them go. There's nothing at all that needs your attention right now. Nothing. There's nothing to do, nothing to remember, nothing to think about. If a thought enters, tell it you'll deal with it later. Clear a space, a large, empty, peaceful space. Just sit for a while in it. Someone is now coming into the space. Can you feel the presence? Maybe see him or her? Feel comfortable. There's nothing to fear. In a real way, it's just you. Put your pen on the paper. Don't think. If a word or image comes, write it down. Just follow it wherever it takes you. One word or image at a time. Don't anticipate. Don't do anything yourself. Don't try. So that's an example of Anamika teaching an exercise, and one of the exercises that you can do in the back of Jonas and the Mountain.
Interesting. Are you very big on meditation and believing the power of it?
Oh, absolutely. Again, I'm like Jonas, and I've attended many retreats at the foot of the holy mountain of Arunachala in Tamil Nadu, India, and spent hours in meditation there. Yeah, and have had, the most. I have felt my head crack open into leaving myself and my I behind, and experiencing, the ineffable. There are no words to describe it. So yeah, meditation. And I personally, I'm not someone who has a certain time where I sit in meditation and do that, because again, all of my practices are organic. They just sort of are a part of my life. So, I meditate when I'm peeing. I meditate when I'm walking down the street. And I think meditation is simply being fully present. And if you are fully present, you aren't thinking, because thinking takes you out of the present, right? Thinking is always projecting into a future or thinking about a past or about a past. When you are fully present, there is no thought, and you are immersed in the now. And that is real life, and that's where it's all happening, man. Yeah. So yeah, I am a proponent of meditation, but perhaps not in the, again, the whole separate out from one's life and sit and meditate kind of mode, although I've done that too. Yeah. And I also like chanting, chanting, meditating. I'm also a musician. I like to sing. I dance. I think all of that is something that, if it brings you into the moment, into the present, so that you are experiencing presence, then that's really what life is all about and where it all happens.
We got about 3.5 minutes to go here before we got to go to break. At the bottom of the hour, Janis Harper is our guest tonight. Mennonite Abe has a question for you. He is asking, Janis, do you have an audiobook that you can read that is out there?
I would love my publisher to give me permission to read my book for an audiobook, Jonas and the Mountain. I love reading, and I am an actor, and I do some voice acting. If you want to hear more of me doing what I just did, I do have a podcast, which you can find on my website or at sacredstories.com or on Apple or on YouTube, and it's called Jonas and the Mountain Journeys. So it is me reading parts of the book, like you heard, and there are 8 episodes. So thank you very much, Abe.
Not a problem. All right, let's move on here, as we got just a couple of minutes to go before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Now, you mentioned that these two in Jonas and the Mountain travel to India to try and find their own spiritual, path and enlightenment. A lot of people who are trying to find their own way always seem to end up in the Middle Eastern type of cultures that really expand the mind. Hinduism is one of them. Buddhism would be another in that area. What was the importance of bringing India and the spirituality of that beautiful country into your book?
Well, I wrote the book after my first long retreat with a guru who is very much like the guru described in the book. In fact, the guru in the book is based on the dude that I sat with in India several times and who really filled my life for several years. So that's why. It's just simply because it was based on my experience. And I had been going to India. I'm just in love with India. I have another book out about India called Emails from India, Women Write Home. And that's an anthology of collected stories about women traveling to India. So I started going to India after my divorce. And I'd always been in love with India. And it gave me a lot. And I released a book there at a literary festival. And I started a school for orphans and blah, blah. And it wasn't until on a later visit that I just encountered, like, without looking, this guru guy who completely, literally blew my mind. And then I started going there to spend time. And that's how that he was really the inspiration for the book at the Holy Mountain of Arunachala.
Very cool.
Does that answer your question?
Totally does.
Thanks.
Totally does.
Yeah, and okay, cool. And can I have an addendum about my voice, as I am also a singer-songwriter, musician, and I do have an album that you can find online. It's everywhere on the internet. Yeah, hey, plug that while I'm at it. Can I, Dave?
Go for it. We got 15 seconds.
Yeah. Okay, it's called Better This Way, and there's 11 tracks, and that's my music, and you could probably listen to it on Spotify, and then I won't make anything, but that's okay. Hey, as long as you enjoy it. It's also on my website.
None of us make anything off of Spotify, but we got to be there. We have to. We have Janis Harper, author, for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. Jonas in the Mountain is her new book. We're going to continue the intriguing talk of spirituality and life quests when we return on Spaced Out Radio. All right, give me 1 second here. Hello, gorgeous Jessica McCreary. How are you? Michael Haywood, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. I think we're all caught up in the chat room right now. It's good times. So, Janis, when we get to the break at the top of the hour, after I say goodnight to you, just hold off so I can say a proper goodnight to you after the break, okay?
Do, Dave.
All right, not a
Can
problem.
you hear me? Okay. I'm just going to disappear for a minute again.
All right, not a problem. You go right ahead. Tim McCart, what's happening? A little bit of feedback there. Oh. Bob Birkins, a little bit too much pickle juice tonight? Just wondering. Yes, Michael Haywood, this is a Dave versus Dave night, every Tuesdays and Thursdays.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You're vaping.
I am.
That's amazing. You can see pavement at 100 miles. Wow.
I know. It is amazing.
At Eckrich, we don't just believe in crafting the finest smoked sausage and deli meats in America. We believe in doing whatever it is you want to do. Treading your own path. Seeing the world. Doing what feels right. And getting creative by skipping the recipe. Because whether you want to change the world or just change up a weeknight classic, Eckrich has got one thing to say. You do you.
When you're craving the delicious Whataburger Buffalo Ranch Chicken Strip Sandwich, time moves more slowly, like in this commercial. Because waiting for 3 crunchy chicken strips for 9 seconds feels more like an hour. Imagining melty cheese for 8 seconds seems like a fortnight. And picturing tangy buffalo sauce and creamy ranch for 13 seconds is like an eon. That's a long 30 seconds. But this sandwich is so worth it. The limited-time Whataburger Buffalo Ranch Chicken Strip Sandwich is back. Just like you like it.
Well, we were shocked to have so much snow here because it doesn't happen all that often, though, with climate change, anybody's guess.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. This is an average year for up here. A little bit more than usual. So it's very interesting.
Do you have listeners in Australia?
We got listeners all over the world. In our chat room tonight, there's USA, Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, Austria, a number of people. Hello, gorgeous Candy Romero. How are you? And Jason Pearl, good to see you. Good night, Kira.
Oh, good night, Kira. I lived in Australia, and I've been to New Zealand, and I'm just thinking of the time difference.
Well, it is tomorrow, so we always ask, because they live in the future, we always ask if we're alive tomorrow. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Interesting. Any from Japan or India of your listeners, Dave?
I don't think we've ever had anybody from Japan actually join our chat room. I know the people in Japan have tuned in. India, we used to get a couple of people. The funny part about it is when it comes to India, the majority of people who come in from India are more here for UFOs. But we don't get a lot of people from India. Wish we got more. That would be cool. We used to get like 4 or 5 a night from South Africa. And they seem to have disappeared over the years, but that's okay. Jason, thank you so much for the super sticker. Really appreciate your love and support of Spaced Out Radio. Thank you also to Phil and Sebastian. So thank you guys. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you so much. Also a quick hello to Toe Tag, Data Derivations, Body Tech. Good morning to you in London. And here we go, everyone. Hi, Fidgety Aura. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with Janis Harper. JanisHarper.ca is her website where you can find her latest book, Jonas in the Mountain. It's also be found on Amazon. It is rating 4.5 stars on Google Reviews, which is pretty damn good if you ask me. I'd be lucky if I got like 2 stars. But nonetheless, we have Janis right till the top of the hour here. Janis, welcome back.
Thank you. It's been fun so far.
I got a couple of questions from our audience for you. And this one, we'll start with Greenheart, who is asking, Janis, do you know anything about twin flame versus soulmate? I have been burned in love so many times.
Well, my book, Jonas and the Mountain, A Metaphysical Love Story, is really could be characterized as about soulmates. However, Anamika says that she doesn't really believe in soulmates, that there are many souls and many mates, and it's all malleable and flexible, and there isn't any one for another. Twin flame versus soulmate is in your question, Greenheart. Twin flame, my sense of that right now, as I'm reading the word, has more to do with the relationship between partner selves, which is my term, which is in the book, or you could think of it as incarnations that might exist in the same physical time and space. So when I think of twin flames, I think of two being within the context of one larger entity or greater self. But soulmate, I know that there's a lot of talk about finding soulmates and people who say that they have, which end up being beautiful relationships that last a lifetime. But for me personally, I don't know. I'm more about the twin flames in terms of aspects of your greater self, which you can communicate with, and which you do communicate with all the time, really, on different levels of consciousness and in your dream state. And when you're lost in your imagination, you are often communicating with other aspects of yourself or other twin flames. But in terms of another person in the world and the soulmate, well, perhaps. But I think there are lots of those out there. So, yeah, being burned in love so many times, hey, that happens, doesn't it? And I think the burning is what's important for you and for anybody. Burning, there is so much there in the burning. And if you can find what is being burned away, perhaps, that needs to be burned away in your life, that might be what's going on. Again, I'm just looking at your question and thinking about burning away stuff that needs to go. Perhaps that has to do with being burned in love. Perhaps that is productive and important for you in your beautiful development as a whole human being.
All right, let's go to Toe Tag here, who is asking, Janis, do you remember any of your past lives as a channeler?
Oh, interesting. You wrote Chandler. And Chandler has to do with the maritime. And there's this, just down the street, there's the Harbor Chandler place. Sorry, that was really cool that you made that spelling. Past lives as a channeler. Again, I do sometimes communicate with with other lives, but I say other lives because in my world and my sense of how things are, there is no time. So there's not really any past or future. So the past lives, I mean, you can call it past lives, but I would say other lives. And as a Chandler, as a maritime thing, maybe. But yeah, I have a sense of what's going on with my other lives, and sometimes there is an interaction and a knowledge and a learning from that. And I think you can as well. I think anyone can, and I think we all do in the dream state again, and in all sorts of other states of consciousness that we interact with other parts of ourselves. Thank you, Toteg.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay. We continue on here as we wait for more questions from our audience. In the book, as you are going on, and these two lovely characters are on an adventure trying to find knowledge about life, about love, about their own spiritual practices, what is, the way they are expressing themselves to each other? Is it love? Is it companionship? Is it more than that?
Oh, you're talking about the narrative, really? Oh, there's lots going on in the narrative. I mean, there is stuff in Jonas's life. Can I read you the synopsis as a response to your question, Dave?
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
Okay. We are always seeking ourselves. An Eastern mystic, a Western psychic, and a broken man who falls in love with them both at a holy magnetic mountain. More than an unusual love story, Jonas and the Mountain is a quest for the deepest truth, an excursion into the nature of reality. Jonas has been living a half-life since he lost his marriage, his college teaching position, and his best friend all at once. In his darkest moment, he hears a voice in his head, and strange poems start to come to him. Curious and open to exploration, he joins a friend who's traveling to Mount Arunachala in South India. There, Jonas meets the guru D, who shows him a direct path to enlightenment, and Anamika, an oddly familiar woman who explains the voice and poems and reveals yet another reality of multiple dimensions and partner selves. Jonas seeks to reconcile these and Anamika's philosophies to find what is true with a capital T as he struggles to resolve the pain in his past and the surprising ways it appears in his present. This is a journey into the heart of it all.
It's very deep.
So that's the synopsis on the back cover. Thank you. So yeah, there's lots going on. I mean, Jonas has issues with his father, and that comes up. And he certainly has a lot of pain in his past, and that comes up and is perhaps resolved in these new relationships, which are always intense learning experiences. I mean, being on a silent retreat with a guru in India, you are made to look at yourself, and you are made to find those issues, what the guru would call karma or conditioning. They come up when you're in silent retreat, and it's just you, and it's just and it's the guru. Then all this stuff suddenly comes right up, and you have to deal with it and acknowledge it and learn from it. So yeah, there's all sorts of stuff going on in the book, and it's a novel. What can I say? And then there's Bruce, who's this big, handsome, blonde, sort of Apollo sun god kind of looking dude, who kind of very much a traveler who I've met. I've done a lot of traveling. Who falls in love with Anamika as well as Jonas. All sorts of stuff going on.
Very cool.
I forget if that was your question. Sorry. Sorry, Dave.
No, I think you're absolutely bang on with that. To be to be blunt. Phil wants to know, a fellow Canadian here, how long did it take you to complete your latest book?
Well, Phil, fellow Canadian, hi. Minervino, sounds Italian. This was highly unusual, and people usually take years to write a book, but for me, this one came in just 4 months. What can I say? And the structure came, and everything came, and I was just carried along, and I didn't know what was going to happen next. I didn't know how it would be structured, and I didn't know anything. I hadn't written a novel before either, although I'm a writer mainly of creative nonfiction and poetry. So it was a surprise, and those few months were the most passionate and thrilling. That was the most passionate and thrilling time of my life, really, in many ways. Every day, I was just following what was happening. It was very exciting. So yeah, it didn't take years. It took a few months, but then there was some editing. It looks very similar to how it looked at the beginning, but there was editing and revisions and some feedback and etc. But the main reason why it didn't come out till now, because it's been a few years, about 4 years, 5 years, is it was trying to find a publisher. And I had a lot of encouragement because it's well written. So I had people saying, yes, love it, but I don't know about the content or the subject matter, the metaphysics or the philosophy and spirituality in it. Yeah. So then I found Sacred Stories found me, and that was wonderful. And now it's out. Thank you, Phil.
The way I look at it, and the way I've heard you describe your book tonight, and we'll get the title once again, Jonas and the Mountain, A Metaphysical Love Story, which can be found on Amazon, is really, to me, it sounds like your own adventure. This is all about you with just a different name.
Oh, Dave, yeah, it really is indeed. And I want to say, too, that if you live in North America, you can ask for it at your local bookstore, and they will order it in for you. All my life, I have been concerned, obsessed with these two different paths to truth, and one being a non-dualist path that ends in enlightenment, and where there is no doing, there is a disassociating from the world, and there is meditating, and there is a clear mind. And I have practiced that and done that for years. And then there is the metaphysical path. And on that path, there is what you call spirit guides and channeling, and perhaps aliens and UFOs also, in my world, would be in that path, because for me it has to do with the metaphysics of it. I do believe that aliens and UFOs are more multidimensional than they are actually from other planets. So there is the metaphysical, and from a teenager, both of those paths have been salient in my life, and I would go back and forth, like how can they meet? How can this sitting still in and letting everything go into the nothingness and the bliss of one consciousness, how does that relate to this metaphysical dimension when you're channeling and when all this stuff is coming from you and all this information and all, how can they exist? Where is the truth? Like, to me, this seemed like the fundamental paradox of life, like the crux of it all. And so all my life, this had been, I'd been involved with it intimately all my life. And when I met this guru, and then throughout and with this guru and aside from him, there was still this engagement with the metaphysical world, because that didn't stop. I was doing lots of automatic writing and a bit of channeling during that time. And it was like, oh, can these two meet? So I gave the job to Jonas, to the protagonist in the novel, to Jonas, to figure it all out. So yes, this is why I said earlier that this book is like my heart, Dave, because this book is really the culmination of these two paths to truth, and is the impetus of wanting them reconciled that gave this book a life, that birthed this book. So yes, it is me. It's very, it's important to me, and I've asked people who read the book. I said, "Well, does Jonas resolve the issue? Does it get resolved?
Does it need a part 2?
Know.
Is that what we're looking at? Part 2, because Jonas can't get his crap together?"
But the readers have said, yeah, it does get resolved. And I think it does. And I think it took me longer in my own life to feel that resolution, but I think it's there, and I think it partly has to do with the book itself being in the world, and me talking here with you, Dave, with all these beautiful listeners. I think this is all a part of it as well. I mean, the book itself is not so much a book printed on page, but it's sort of a living, breathing thing in the world, and it's coming into, it's a part of all this. And I love all these listeners who are chatting, because it's like there's this meta layer, this level to our conversation. And in a way that has to do with the book too. There is this sort of this meta level of its existence. In the book itself, you see that you find out kind of that Jonas is writing it partway because our lives are like a novel that we are writing. So Jonas in the Mountain is also meta-fictional as well, in the way that he is writing the book. Art and life. Again, coming back to how we are artists. We are artists engaged in the creation of our lives, in the art of our lives. We are art beings. We are, and this book is a part of that. It's a part of the art that we are all engaged in our own ways, with our own individual realities, creative realities.
Very true. Larry was wondering, do you have any published poetry?
Oh, Larry, dear, thank you. Yes, I do. Yes, I am a published poet. The poetry is in literary journals. So I don't have a book of published poetry, though I am shopping around my book about Socrates called Founding Socrates.
At Eckrich, we don't just believe in crafting the finest smoked sausage and deli meats in America. We believe in doing whatever it is you want to do. Treading your own path. Seeing the world. Doing what feels right. And getting creative by skipping the recipe. Because whether you want to change the world or just change up a weeknight classic, Eckrich has got one thing to say. You do you.
Keeping your tech teams on top of the latest developments is a monumental challenge. Helping them get answers to the urgent problems they face daily is even harder. That's why over 60% of Fortune 100 companies count on the O'Reilly Learning Platform. At O'Reilly, your teams will get live online courses, tons of resources, truly interactive scenarios and sandboxes, and fast answers to their most pressing questions. See for yourself what O'Reilly can do for your teams. Visit O'Reilly.com for a demo.
But yeah, I've in literary journals in Canada. I don't know if you'd be able to access them, but I do. Yes, thank you. And I do love writing poetry, as I love writing songs as well, and singing and performing.
It is very cool. It is very, very cool. As we only have about 4.5 minutes left with you tonight, what is the main purpose of what you want people to learn from your book, Jonas on the Mountain?
Wow. What a good question, Dave. The main purpose. What I want them to take away. Interestingly, I on my Amazon author site, I have a dear reader. And I would like to find that now, actually, because what I want the reader to take away is in what I ask the reader, what I hope for the reader. Okay, but listeners, you can read it on my Amazon author page, and I'm not going to read it for you right now, but what I hope it does for you is I hope it widens your reality. I hope it gives you, it allows magic and miracle to touch your world. I hope it also shows you how you have everything that you need, that you are your world, and that your world comes from you. And I hope that you enjoy reading it as much as I loved writing it. That's what I can say in a nutshell, Dave. But I do hope, I know that there are people who read it say that, oh my goodness, there's a lot to ponder and a lot about spiritual experiences and amazing insights and metaphysical teachings that one cannot get just from reading it. Like there is a certain absorption, but that afterwards it lingers on. So I do hope that if you do read my book, Jonas and the Mountain, A Metaphysical Love Story, that you do engage with it and that you do the exercises and meditations. And if you want a taste, you can find them in my podcast, Jonas and the Mountain Journeys, on YouTube or at the sacredstories.com site.
Would you consider this as more of a self-help book or a guidance type of book to read?
Oh, Dave, it's funny. You should ask that because that is no, I never wanted to write a self-help book because I never believe that I can tell people what they should do. I always want, and as an expressive arts therapist, I want you to find it within yourself. So if I can point you to find ways to rediscover in yourself what you already know, then I'm happy to do that. So there is, you could say, a self-help element in the book, though I'd like to call it a self-exploration element. Just like there's a philosophical element and a spiritual and a comparative philosophy and a novel. And there is, a self-exploration element for sure. Yeah.
Beautiful. With 45 seconds to go, could you do me a favor? Let everybody know where they can find your book.
Okay, Jonas and the Mountain, A Metaphysical Love Story, and I would be so happy if you read it. It's available at any online bookstore, including whatever Amazon your country is, wherever you are. If you are in North America, you can ask for it at your local bookstore. And you can also go to janisharper.ca, my website, and there will be information there about not only this book, but my other books and all of my music, and there are a few music videos there as well. Thank you so much, Dave. I so appreciate you having me on your show and letting me talk about my book.
It's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much. JanisHarper.ca is her website. Coming up next, we're going to enter the swamp. Then, Dave versus Dave and 3 burning questions. A jam-packed hour number 3 coming up next on the mighty SOR. Stay tuned.
Hi.
All right, we're clear. Thank you, Janis, so much.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Really appreciate you.
Oh, well, I am filled with gratitude for you and your wonderful audience. Thank you so much for having me.
We will do it again, and thank your publisher as well for recommending and getting a hold of us. We really do appreciate that.
I will let them know.
All right.
Thank you, and I know I'll hear from your person about where this can be seen. And
it's going to be any social media site. If you want the video archive, it'll be on YouTube. If you want the audio archive, anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dave. It was so great to meet you,
You too.
and enjoy your time in 100 Mile House.
Will do. Take care.
Okay, you too.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.
That was awesome. Great show. Thanks, Chud Smith, for the super chat. Dirty Filth still around here? Just curious. Do we still have Dirty Filth? Dirty Filth, where are you? I'll be with you in a second anyways. I gotta get Shirky Poo's news ready. That's an interesting one. Go there. Where'd they go? I know there's more stories here somewhere. That's interesting, right there. Put that on there. That's kind of cool. Get that. Be right with you guys. Oh, look at that. Okay. Well, we'll play that one. That's the one Shirky Poo was warning me about. Close that off. Close. What else am I going to do here? Oh, shoot. Hold on. I'm way behind here, guys. All right. Hey, Rob Heatherly, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Magnus Ver Magnuson, nice to have you here. You're waiting on Fresno? I don't understand that. Okay, it's just so a quick reminder here to everyone. Next month, February 25th to 27th, I will be speaking along with, I believe, Lynn Wallington. will be speaking at UFOCon 2022 in San Francisco, California. You got to go to UFOCon2022.com to get your tickets. And you could go there. It's cheap. It's like $100 for the weekend, or $150, $100 if you get them early. And great speakers. George Dory's going to be there. Daniel Sheehan, Paul Hynek, Jesus Payan is going to be there, who's been on this show. We'll bring him back again for that. And, of course, April 22nd to 24th, let's head to Vegas, everyone. Let us party and get together. We got a great itinerary that's going to be up on our website very, very soon. We may do a live show there as well. We're debating that, but I'll tell you, register at info@spacedoutradio.com. info@spacedoutradio.com. Let me know that you're coming, so that way I know to bring you a swag bag. The first 50 people signed up will get a swag bag, so check it on out. And we're going to get going here soon. Thank you to Sebastian, Phil, Jason, and Chad for the super chats tonight. Very much appreciate it. And all the veterans who are tuned in, thank you so much. Here we go.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Kicking off the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. And what do you got for us, Clam? Let us take a look here. Oh, it is Ubique. Ubique is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. All right, let's get to it. Let's head to the swamp. Our man Swamp Dweller is here, so let's check him on out.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of...
All right, here we go. And let's do this.
So, for some context, I live in northern Utah, and I am very experienced and well-seasoned in the outdoors. I have spent my entire life in the woods. Now, I have never been a superstitious person. I've always been the type of person to find a rational explanation. And I know this will sound cliché, but this is one of those experiences where I have no description. So now for some context of where we were when this happened. So if you do not know, Utah is a freezing and snowy place in the winter. Snow days are not that uncommon, and by some luck, this day was a snow day with about 3 feet of snow on the ground. So, my friend and I, being experienced hunters, decided that the snow would make perfect hunting conditions for some bird hunting. So we loaded up our shotguns into the back of his off-road setup Jeep, and we headed up the mountains to hopefully bag a grouse or two. When we reached the gate at the base of the hill, and the gate was closed but not locked, this was quite weird, because this gate was always locked. We decided to go through and drive up the Jeep trail for a couple of miles. Now, it is important to note a few things. First, as it appeared in the snow, we were the first people being up there for quite some time. And second, there is only one way into and out of where we were, and that was the road leading in. Anyways, we drove up the little Jeep trail for about 3 to 4 miles. We finally got up to where we were going to be hunting, and it was very remote. And when I say remote, I genuinely mean it. So, we both stepped out of the Jeep, and the first thing we heard was the sound of an elk. Something was off though. It was just wrong. And that's the only way to describe it. It was terrible. It was distorted and husky. The creepiest part, I've hunted in that canyon for my entire life, and I've never seen an elk in there, but we both just kind of brushed it off and figured that maybe there could be an elk in here. Who knows, anything was possible, right? And we continued on our hunt. But as we continued along the trail, we made a horrifying discovery. There were what looked like infant foot tracks in the snow. Not a child's feet, like newborn baby human barefoot. At this point, I knew something was very wrong. Why would there be a baby up here all alone, and 3 feet of snow? And how could they even walk in this much snow? I thought. I think the weirdest part was that I felt compelled to continue along the tracks to help anyone who might be up there. We continued walking all the time in absolute horror about what we might find just 10 steps up the trail. It is important to note that these were like fresh tracks, not like a week old or anything like that. They looked brand new, very, very fresh. We continued hiking through the cliff faces and very steep and dark pine trees. There were slopes and hills, and I would say we went for at least 3 miles. Now, I know this will sound cliche, and I think the worst and most frightening part was just how empty the woods were. They just seemed absent of all life. Anyways, we hiked for what seemed like forever, when we finally reached a sagebrush clearing, and the footsteps kept going. But now it was getting dark, and I had a very uneasy feeling, so we decided to turn around at this point. We made it back to the car and started hearing squirrels chirping about 200 yards away, down into a profound and dark valley. This is because the trees cancel out all the sunlight, and because at this point, the trip seemed like we were going to get skunked. So we followed the chirping. When we had gone 300 yards into the trees, it became obvious the chirps were drawing us further and further into the woods, with no signs of the squirrel that was calling. At this point, it was all but dark, when at that point I saw it, something that was tall, slender, and hairy. It was mangled looking. It was some sort of creature that I've never seen in my life. I stood there as it walked. It became obvious that this was no earthly creature. Its knees bent backwards like if you would picture a deer's legs would be if it were bipedal. I only was able to see it for around 30 seconds before it disappeared around a bend inside of an old dried-up riverbank. At that moment, I was sure that it hadn't seen us and that we needed to leave. So we snuck out to the Jeep as fast as we could. We loaded everything into the Jeep, and as I was closing my door, I heard a gut-wrenching scream, and all I can remember was telling my friend to freaking floor it, and we sped away as fast as we possibly could. On the way back, I kid you not, I swear I caught a glimpse of it running parallel to the Jeep. I have no clue what we saw that day, although I do think it was a skinwalker. It keeps me awake to this very day. I would greatly appreciate it if someone could help me identify this creature.
Oh, another spooky story by our man Swamp Dweller. Make sure you go to his YouTube channel, click subscribe, follow him, ring that bell. He's always putting up new spooky, creepypasta stories each and every day. So make sure you check it on out. All right, it is time once again for a little Dave versus Dave. Dave versus Dave, as my twin Dave comes on in here, and we hang on out for 3 burning questions that continue on around the UFO weird world, the paranormal, supernatural, and we are always going hard on this subject. Dave, how you doing, buddy?
How's it going, man? I'm doing good.
I am doing great, man. My body is sore. I'm not going to lie, my body is sore. I worked out on the weekend. I haven't worked out in years. I worked out Saturday, worked out Sunday, and then I worked out yesterday. I am done like dinner today, man. And I slept through my alarm clock this morning.
Oh, man. Yeah, you can't go too hard.
No, but I've been going hard. Got to prepare. We got some public appearances coming up here very soon. UFO Con 2022, the end of February. We're heading down to San Francisco to speak there. I believe Lynn Wallington's going to be speaking there as well, our weekend host. And then, the Vegas party in April 22nd to 24th. We got a lot of stuff to do. I'll be in Colorado, July 8th to 10th, speaking at the MUFON Symposium. Man, going to be everywhere, every couple of months down in the States. I love it. Love it.
It's going to be good times. That's a busy schedule. It's going to be fun.
We are jam-packed, my friend. 3 burning questions. Where are you starting tonight?
Well, I got a few written down here. My first one, though, I want to know what you think about this. It's professionalism in broadcasting. Respect your guest.
Well, let me tell you.
When you need business mobility solutions that are more than just business as usual, you need Enterprise. A trusted partner, Enterprise has the expertise to help you go the extra mile. For the short term, for the long haul, and everywhere in between. So go with someone who thinks outside the box truck and get custom transportation solutions that maximize productivity, reliability, and savings. Go with Enterprise and start driving business.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Wait a minute. I've heard that before. That's the note Jeremy wrote to me in my yearbook in the 6th grade. How'd you even know that?
Because it's from Geico.
Yeah, wait, here it is. Dear Luke, have a great summer. P.S. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. Love, Jeremy.
Geico's had this tagline for years, because we help save people money.
So wait, you're saying Jeremy copied you? Yeah, that actually does sound like something the J-Man would do.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
What do you mean by this? What do you mean? Yeah.
Let me tell you this. All right? I literally get asked a lot of questions from, people who are new to podcasting and everything. And they're like, Dave, how do we do it? All right? What are we supposed to do? And here's my example of that. Treat your guest with respect. Don't come on air, a few sheets to the wind. If you're into the hippie lettuce or the devil's lettuce, whatever you want to call it, okay, don't come on stoned. All right? Remember, with your guests are easy to get for the most part. They are very, very easy to get. And this is my message to all the podcasters out there. YouTube channels, podcasts, digital broadcasting networks, whatever. All right? Remember this, your guest is making time not only for you, but your audience. And as a host, we have a responsibility to give them our proper time back. Now, it all depends on the focus of the show. If you have a focus on the show where the guest knows that your show is about party time, about antics, about having fun, like our good friends Ben and Joe from UFO Garage, they've started a new series where they're doing all their shows topless. I think it's hilarious. I do. But as long as your guests know that's what it's about, that's great. But if you're not respecting your guest time, if you're showing up intoxicated or on some sort of narcotic, all right, that isn't cool. It reflects poorly on yourself. It reflects poorly on the guest. But most importantly, it reflects poorly on the entire community. And when you decide to get into any topic, doesn't matter whether it's UFOs or football or hockey or basketball or baking cakes or, whatever it may be, you have to make sure that you take the time to respect your guest and do a proper job with them. If not, you're just making an embarrassment of the entire league. Look, I've actually had people, Dave, say, no, I am not coming on Spaced Out Radio because I got burnt from a podcast a couple of years ago because the host was extremely mediocre and not professional. I don't want to go through that again. And then I have to remind them, well, we're not a podcast. We're a radio show. We're on 6 different terrestrial radio stations around North America, in Mississauga, Ontario, Bellingham, Washington, Ridgecrest, California, Apache Junction, Arizona, New Orleans, Louisiana, Noonan, Georgia. We're there broadcasting. So we try and take it a little bit further, But if you're not going to respect your guest's time, it reflects ill on the rest of the community. And that would be my biggest piece of advice to podcasters out there. Make sure you respect your guest, you respect their time, and respect your listeners' times. And if you're in one of those situations where you're either feeling not good, whether it's self-induced or not, don't do the show. You don't have a schedule to keep. Reschedule the show. Be professional. At least show some professionalism. Otherwise, we all look bad because of it. What's your thoughts?
I agree with you, man. I'm a podcaster, and I'll take it to heart. It's good advice.
That's deep words from you, man. Deep words. Just hits me right there. What's question number 2?
Well, question number 2 is going to be, the other day, MSNBC gave another perspective of the government from MUFON and Stephen Greer about whether or not the UFO program in Washington is good for the people. What's your thoughts on that?
I was happy to see it. I was very, very happy to see it. And I'll tell you why. For the first 4 years, ever since the To the Stars Academy came out, we have been seeing quotes and interviews from the same people at every different news organization. It's been a list of Commander David Fravor, the F-18 pilot, Alex Dietrich, F-18 pilot. We've seen Luis Elizondo, Chris Mellon, the late Harry Reid, Jeremy Corbell. Outside of the senators, it's the same faces each and every time. But all of a sudden, out of the blue, MSNBC decides that they want to actually be journalists again and actually realize that there is a counterpoint to this. Now, look, I'm not a fan of Dr. Stephen Greer's, okay, but I loved the fact that he was in that article and said, look, we got to be cautious with this new program out of the Pentagon. We can be all hyped up that, yes, they're now putting taxpayer money into UFOs, but the good part about it is they are doing that. The bad part about it is this doesn't mean anything for the public. It doesn't mean we're going to get more videos. It doesn't mean we are going to get more information. It doesn't mean we're going to get more reports. In fact, it probably means the opposite. And then MUFON jumped in, and I realize there's a lot of MUFON haters out there, the Mutual UFO Network, all right? But they were quoted in that article, and I think it was great. It was great because they added a different perspective that they were literally telling the public, hey, hold on. Before you go waving the UFO disclosure flag, let's make sure that this is the right thing for us. And we got to be careful. We have to be aware. And unfortunately, the UFO Twitter crowd out there is so hell-bent on that this is disclosure. Well, guess what? They may be in for something a little bit more stranger than that. All right? But the fact that we finally got a counterpoint is very important, that they went into the UFO world to get some media and get other opinions. And that's what we've been saying on this show for a couple of years, that the mainstream media, especially in the United States, needed to do, and they finally did it. So I'm very happy about that. Your thoughts, Dave?
I agree, man. 100%. You hit that one. That one's perfect.
And number 3, Fire
Number
away.
three.
We got 5.5 minutes.
Okay, this one is yeah. What's your thoughts on researchers spending all their money on expensive equipment to go out and do investigations?
Oh, I like your question tonight, Dave.
Spending all their money.
Dude, I have actually heard people in the early days of this show tell me that they actually delayed their rent in order to buy ghost hunting equipment. Literally. That you know what? If you were delaying your rent or your grocery bill for a piece of ghost hunting hardware, you're doing it wrong. And what's amazing is if you talk to all the big named people who are in this field, the gear is toys. But the actual investigation comes down to a good camera, a recording device, and your own intuition. You don't need to spend $10 to $100 on any type of app for your phone. They don't work. Because remember, anything computerized that can produce words means that those words had to be inputted into the app or into the program, which means they are not natural to the phenomena. It may be coincidental, but it's not. The people who are real gearheads in this are one of two people. They are either someone who leads a very techie life, who loves gadgets and gizmos, or it's somebody who feels that they need to be packing around 15 silver suitcases to every investigation to show off all of their equipment that they have to make themselves look impressive. And it's not needed. It's not needed in the Bigfoot world. It's not needed in the paranormal world. Your intuition will lead you more to your answers than will any technology. You can ask any major player in the investigative field. Sure, it's great to have, if you're out looking for Sasquatch, it would be great to have a drone. But I think this thing knows how to hide in trees. It would be great to have, $2,000 trail cams that set up and record video, the type of cameras you don't need to change batteries on for a year. They're out there. Even in the U.S., up here in Canada, they are illegal. But even in the U.S., where you could get the satellite trail cams, that you could record your camera right into your house. Hey, why not? Right? But you don't need it. Your brain works better than anything. And I find it so disappointing, my friend, that we see good people being taken advantage of, buying all of these pieces of gear where the majority of them have been tested as not worthy of the garbage dump, let alone in your hands, and yet they're getting sucked in because it makes loud noises or it shines bright colored lights. It's not necessary. And for people out there, who are getting into ghost hunting, whether you have your dream of being the next Zach Bagans or you have a dream of just having a spooky encounter, save your money. You do not need it, and it's not worth your value, because even if you try to resell the stuff, the majority of people out there will know what it's actually worth, and that's a trip to the dump. You don't need it. Your thoughts, Dave?
I agree 100%. We've actually done something like that here to satisfy our own curiosities. So when I talk to a person that does this, or I interview one that goes out on investigations, I would know from my own personal experience, I was going to go out and do what they did. I had a good spot to do it, and I did. It's an old retired Army's barracks. Just using a cell phone and the light on my cell phone, something stops me dead in my tracks, and you can clearly hear the noise on the phone that stops me. And I turn around, and I'm actually stuck in one spot, like I can't walk back. It came from a room I just came out of. There's absolutely nothing in there. Just using a cell phone. Caught a noise, scared me real bad. Said some things on there that we couldn't play on here. It was scary, and I don't like it. I won't do it again, but I got a newfound respect for it.
Well,
you don't need all those gadgets.
It goes to show that your cell phone, a flashlight, a recording device, and maybe a camera, that's all you need. Because what we have to realize as we go to break here at the bottom of the hour, wrap up Dave versus Dave, what we need to realize is we have it all in our hand already. Dave versus Dave, we'll have it again in a couple nights' time, but Dave's going to stick around as we are going to warm up the Magic 8 Ball. If you're in our chat rooms, put your questions in capital letters. We will ask the 8 Ball next. All right, we're clear. Hi, Reborn from Ash. Hello, gorgeous Block Chic. How are you? Mr. Lee 3PO. What's happening? Brazelhoff, you flat earther. How you doing, buddy? All right, who else is here that jumped in late? I think that's it, man. I think that's it. Wow.
How's it going everyone in chat?
That was a quick half hour, man. Dave, you're looking good tonight, man. You were looking good tonight. I'm not going to lie.
You're looking all right yourself.
Thank you. I feel a little thinner. Be back on the workout.
It's all that working out.
Well, I'll be back at it tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a busy day. This is my day tomorrow. I'll be up at 7:25, walk my boy to the bus stop, come home, get ready for work, be at work for just after 9 a.m., work until 5, meet my son down at the hockey rink so I could tie his skates. He'll practice from 5:30 to 6:30, race home, eat a quick dinner, work out from 7 to 7:30 on a nice sprint on my elliptical, and then be in the studio for 7:30, 7:35.
It's a tight schedule, man.
That is a busy day tomorrow, dude. Busy day tomorrow. It'll be good, though.
Yeah, you're gonna be beat. You're gonna be beat tired.
Mm-hmm.
Where's that echo?
Nilbog Lort, good to see you. Phil, trail cams are legal here too, but you cannot use a trail cam that is tied to a satellite to send the feed to your home computer. You can't use those. Those are illegal in Canada for hunters, and I believe only trappers and forestry officers could use them.
Yeah, you can have the feed sent straight to your phone here in the United States.
Mm-hmm. That's what a lot of those hog hunting companies do in Texas, is they set up one of those electronic gates on a satellite feed, and the minute the hogs go in to feed, they want to close the gates, they look at it, and then they drop the gate. I'm going to get you to turn your speaker down a little bit. I'm getting some feedback there. Anna, how are you? Welcome to the show. All right. Yeah. The logic up here is the satellites do not give... it gives hunters an unfair advantage against the animals, against their potential hunt. So that's what it is. Good night, Sun Saver. That is a beautiful hairdo you have there, man. Beautiful hairdo.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
How's that feedback now? None, right?
Much better. I got to turn your microphone down now. Are you? Hold on. It's on my end. Hold on. There we go. Let's go like that. You want to give me a testing?
How's that? Test?
Beautiful. You are gorgeous.
All right.
You are gorgeous. All right.
Yeah, this hair is nice. This keeps me warm.
Mm-hmm.
All this hair.
You're a beautiful man, let me tell you. A beautiful, beautiful man.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm. That's how we roll around here.
I say, yeah, this is how we do it.
You got that right.
Gotta stay looking good, man.
Hey, if you're not looking good, you're not feeling good. And we got to do both.
Yes, sir.
Look at Block Chic. We're getting an eye roll right now. Men. Men.
So,
we got about 30 seconds here.
Okay.
All right. Big thank you to that one time I was abducted by aliens, Chad Smith, Jason, Phil, and Sebastian for the awesome super chats. Really do appreciate the love of supporting Spaced Out Radio. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe, ring that bell. Hello, gorgeous diesel girl. There she is. She drives a diesel. I'll guarantee you she's a Ram 3500 or Ford F350 type of lady. It just seems that way. Here we go, everyone. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on it. Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. I want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on with my twin Dave here. We're going to go into the Magic 8 Ball.
All right.
Oh, yeah, listen to the Bumblefoot in the background. That's just the way we do it, my friend. It's the way we do it. All right, Magic 8 Ball time. If you have a question for anybody in our chat room, we want to make sure that you put it in capital letters because it's going to be a great time for all of you as we get a little psychic, a little intuitive around here. How about you, Dave? You want to start off with a question for the Magic 8 Ball?
Yeah.
All right.
Magic 8 Ball. You going to be good to us this week?
Yeah, last week it was a little snarky. Magic 8 Ball says, levels are positive, that it's going to be good to us. All right.
I'm Erin, and this is my life with California Closets. I purchased a historic home that's over 150 years old. One of the biggest things old houses don't have is closet storage and organization. And in a modern life, you really need to store a lot of things. Working with California Closets was the only way to get exactly what I needed. It really makes my life better. I finally have my dream home, and I couldn't be more thrilled about it.
Schedule your free design consultation today at CaliforniaClosets.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Andreas Michaelitis, Chief Psychologist at Noom. But what's Noom and why does Noom need a Chief Psychologist? Noom is a weight loss program that works, with results that last. Because we know that changing the way you eat starts with your mind. With Noom's proven psychology-backed tools, one-on-one coaching, and flexible plans that emphasize progress over perfection, you'll have the tools you need to change your relationship with food. So sign up at Noom.com now and lose the weight for good. That's Noom.com.
Right. I like that feeling. I really, really like that feeling. I'm going to fire one off here. Are we going to have any of our listeners show up at UFOCon 2022? Get your tickets at UFOCon2022.com, where myself and Lynn Wallington are going to be speaking. Let's find out. The answer is Out of Fuel, Try Again Later. So I take that as not a negative, but people haven't made up their mind because a couple months later we are going to be in Vegas for the SOR party, April 22nd to 24th. All right, here's a question from Ethereal Aura. Do I die this year? Oh, I hope not, my friend. I'm actually a little scared to do this. I don't know if I should. I really don't.
Yeah, that's rough.
I'm going to choose not to do that one. And let me explain why, Mr. Aura. I know your situation, and I know what you're going through. I know it's very tough right now, and I would really, really rather send you a bunch of love and healing and prayers from everybody in our audience. I know what you're going through. And because you've mentioned it in the chat room before. And I can't. It's a moral thing for me. I apologize, but it's a moral thing. And I'm going to show some humanity here, even though you want me to. But I'm going to send you some love and everything instead. I hope you don't mind. I hope you don't mind. Wow. Very, very rarely do I get emotional on this show. That just made me very emotional.
Yeah, that's a...
Ethereal Aura, I would tell you right now, if you were here, I would hug you. I would hug you, and I would do everything I could to help you out. And I would do anything for love, but I won't do that, which is ask the Magic 8 Ball that question. No, I won't do that. Have to. Sorry. Wallet Moth wants to know, shall I get my butt out of bed? Magic 8 Ball says, reply hazy, try again later. In other words, you're sleepy. Stay in bed. It's good for you today. Don't do it. Don't get up. The world hasn't changed. It's not worth it. All right. Joe is asking, since he is skipping the SOR party in Vegas for some unknown reason, will an SOR chatter be arrested in Vegas? Battery low. Not happening. Not happening. And that is it. That is it. Nobody's getting arrested in Vegas.
I hope not.
No. What do you mean you hope not? Are you planning something that I don't know? Hold on, I'm going to put my investigative light up here.
Oh. It's cops. They just always is looking for you. Just waiting for you to mess up. You guys got to be on your P's and Q's in Vegas.
I've never had a problem there. Ever. Will Sonny get arrested in Vegas? Hold on. As I see it, yes, says the Magic 8 Ball. Wow. Sonny better take care down there and be a good boy.
Yeah. Yeah. That guy better watch out.
All right. Wallet Moth wants to know, will my wife stop being grumpy this morning? Oh, my gosh, if she's listening. The answer is yes and beyond. Yes and beyond. My suggestion would be do not play for her Gail's song, not our Gail, but the music artist Gail, ABCDEFU. It would not be a good song to play for her. The anger may continue, but if you just say, yes, dear, yes, dear, yes, dear, things will be fine. by noon. All right, Fidgety Aura. Will any love at first sight chatters get married at the Vegas party? Oh, good question. Levels are positive. Levels are positive that we may be going to a wedding in Vegas. We may be going to a wedding in Vegas. Now, we know if Fap was coming to the party, even though he isn't, he's bailed out already. We know if he was coming that, you know, the minute he saw the lovely and talented Teresa there, Teresa's been one of our listeners for about 6 years, he'd be like, marry me. And she'd be like, how much do you make? And he'd be like, I'm a Dodgers fan. And she'd be like, I like scones. That's all it would take, right there. Married, hooked up, shacked up.
That's right.
That's the romance that we bring to SOR. All right, Brazelhoff is asking, are reverse headstocks on guitars better than regular headstocks? The answer is in hypersleep. I'm going to ask that again. Are reverse headstocks better than regular headstocks? Magic 8 Ball actually agrees with you on this one. It says, as I see it, yes. This thing might be broken. This Magic 8 Ball might be broken. All right, let's move on here. Nikki wants to know if she will be taken by aliens this weekend. The answer is, it is decidedly so. You've got aliens this weekend, Nikki. Have a good trip. Hopefully they let you fly the craft and bring back a souvenir if you don't mind. We would greatly appreciate it. Greatly appreciate it. Well, now I want to know, will Dave be taken this weekend? Out of fuel, try again later. They don't like me anymore, man. They do not like me anymore. I don't know. I must have pissed off the aliens somehow.
So I was going to say, you did something to offend them.
Mm-hmm. Aussie Ange, who wants to travel from Australia to Las Vegas for the party, says, am I going to Vegas in April? The answer is, levels are positive, Ange, that you will make it to Vegas. Levels are positive. And those aren't COVID levels. Those are party levels. So I think you're going. You're probably going to make me bust my ass in the hotel gym so I don't miss my workouts, because literally her and her like giant muscular hubby own a gym down in Australia. Yeah. She's probably going to make me do yoga or some garbage like that. And I'm going to be like, that hurts. We're in Vegas, shouldn't be doing yoga. And Ange is going to be like, shut up, Dave. Do your yoga. Do your workouts. And by the way, you're eating tofu after this. I'm going to be like, come on, Ange. Like, help me out here. This is Vegas. She's going to be like, doesn't matter, Dave. No pain, no gain. Even in Vegas. And I'm going to be like, okay, Aussie Ange. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Yeah, I'll do it while you're watching. When you leave, I'm ordering chocolate cake and a shake.
Oh, hell with that. I am going straight to Taco Bell, and I'm going to load up, and then I'm going to find her at the swimming pool, and I'm going to pour hot sauce on that taco right over top of her, so that way it drips down on her sun-tanning, body, and then she's going to get like hot sauce in her belly button, and I'm going to say, hey, Aussie Ange, you take that. You take that as I hoard this taco in my mouth, and then I take the other taco in my other hand, and I take a bite out of that as well. This is what's going to happen. Now, normally what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but this is Taco Bell revenge right there on Aussie Ange after she kicks my ass in yoga in the middle of a party. I got that all out now. I got it all out.
Missing Taco Bell, are we?
Yes. All right. Wallet Moth is asking, will Dave 2 get a soundboard with ETC on it? Etc. on it? I don't know. Don't count on it. He ain't doing anything. He's like, no, I've got my Paranormal Chop Shop stickers on my microphone. That is good enough. That is good enough.
You want it quieter, I can move it back.
No.
That's it. That's the...
No, you're fine.
That's the soundboard in the shop.
Yeah, no, you got to bring it closer because now you're echoing. There you go.
All right.
There you go. All right, we got a couple more minutes of the Magic 8 Ball hanging on out here. Let's find out. Either in San Francisco or in Colorado for UFO events we'll be speaking at this year, or in Vegas, will we be joined by any extraterrestrials or hybrids? Sensors read no. We're not going to be joined by any aliens at UFOCon 2022. Las Vegas for the SOR party, April 22nd to 24th. February 25th to 27th for UFOCon. And July 8th to 10th for MUFON Symposium in Colorado. That's sad. That's very sad. All right. Joe wants to know, will Dave ever eat a double-double with cheese from In-N-Out? As I see it, yes. You know, I'm glad the Magic 8... This is how I know the Magic 8 Ball is working. I've done that. 2015, I bagged down a double-double with cheese from In-N-Out before we went to the airport to fly out of town and head home. Done it. Done it.
Good stuff?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
All right. Stone Hobbit wants to know, will any of the SOR chatters and roomies meet on a UFO? Reply hazy, try again. The aliens don't want us to know. The aliens do not want us to know. They're strange that way. Mr. Sonny? Oh, where's Sonny? Sonny in the chat room? No, don't see him. Dave? It's time for Sugar Poo's news. All right, let's get Shirky Poo's news right off the bat. A weird one tonight at an NHL game between the Florida Panthers and the Vancouver Canucks. The Florida Panthers were celebrating Kodak Black being at their game against the Canucks, with the NHL actually tweeting out pictures of the popular rapper from his seats near the ice. The league, though, would not tweet out what happened next. After being shown on the center ice scoreboard a few times to rouse up the entire audience of about 17 people, because that's all Florida ever seems to get. All right, during the second period, Kodak Black decided to move upstairs into the luxury box near center ice. Now, the problem was, old Kodak Black was having more of a good time than just hockey. Yep. Twitter users and Panther season's ticket holder at David954 Florida decided that he was going to film Mr. Black and an unnamed young lady. Let's just say that there was a lot of twerking going on Twitter. I don't know about you, but if you see the video on Twitter, it is a little randy. a little risque. And you know what? This is what happens when hockey decides to go woke and decides to go hip-hop. Nothing wrong with hip-hop music, all right? But this doesn't happen when you're playing AC/DC and Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue and Metallica and Lynyrd Skynyrd and Elvis at hockey games. No, doesn't happen that way. Doesn't happen that way. Anyways, I'm pretty sure the Florida Panthers are a little embarrassed by what happened, and they will hopefully figure this out for the future, because hockey doesn't need that. Hockey does not need any sort of porno involved. Even though clothes were on, does not need any sort of porno involved during a game. No, none. Keep it on the ice. This is what happens when you take fighting out of hockey and you start to make it look like soccer on ice. This is what happens. Hooliganism. Hooliganism at a hockey game. It's not supposed to be that way. This is what happens. You remove fighting, and you get that kind of garbage. Terrible. Bad NHL. All right. Warming a male animal's testicles using nanoparticles and electric coils could be effective contraception, according to researchers who have tried this practice on mice. So in this advanced scientific age, there are two questions that remain outside of the community: whether casually getting one's nutters too warm can cause infertility, and how to make a male contraception that doesn't suck. Well, apparently heating up one's bagels may work. Now, if you're sitting with one on your lap, a heating lap that is, for hours at a time, male birth control options are limited, mainly to vasectomies and condoms. But if you warm up your best friends, apparently this may work as well. A research team in China, China, has published the results of their experiments on mice testicles, saying, and they found that wrapping their balls with an electric coil and heating them up their nanoparticle-filled nutters with the resulting magnetic field reduced fertility temporarily and reversibly. I'm sorry. Nobody is going to grab a heat coil and put them around Dave's two closest friends. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Finally tonight, this cool one. A pair of Scottish siblings who grew up in the same city met for the first time in their 30 years thanks to an eBay purchase that led to a family connection. Yeah, Ross Calhoun shared his story on Twitter, said he and his sister Erin, who's 31, had just met. Calhoun said that the story of their reunion began 2 years earlier when he bought a Hearts versus Liverpool soccer game program on eBay. He said he received a message from the seller saying his purchase was being refunded, and the seller then explained why, that it was her father, Calhoun, who had never met. Calhoun said the eBay purchase led to his knowing to his father's side of the family, but of course, pandemic ruined everything until he got to meet his sister this past Monday. We cried, we laughed, we shared stories. It was like we've known each other our entire lives. I was extremely nervous, but it was absolutely beautiful and life-affirming experience. Good for them. Does it make you wonder what happened there? It totally does for me. And we're going to skip the thought of the day today, but we want to say thank you to Shirky Poo for heating us up in the news wire tonight. Thank you to everybody participating in the Magic 8 Ball, to my brother Dave, Swamp Dweller, and Janis Harper for being a wonderful guest. We've got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Spreaker.
How easy it is to file a claim with Geico. We hired a nature show host.
In the native habitat of a suburban driveway, the poor victim of a broken windshield is left assessing his vehicle, utterly helpless.
Well, not true. If he's got Geico, he can file a claim online, over the phone, or with his handy mobile app.
But like a lone gazelle, he'll suddenly be left to fend for himself, awaiting his terrible fate.
Nope. Geico will assign him a designated claims team to help him out, too.
So the gazelle gets his car fixed and everything. Wow, nature is so cool.
Geico. Great service without all the drama.
It's the classic dilemma at Whataburger. You pick up your all-time favorite patty melt with 2 fresh all-beef patties, melted Monterey Jack cheese, grilled onions, and creamy pepper sauce. And just when you're about to dig into Whataburger's take on this delicious all-time classic, someone utters the dreaded words.
Can I have a bite?
Should you? Shouldn't you? Maybe you should just take a big bite so you don't have to answer. Ooh, glad that dilemma's over. The Whataburger patty melt, just like you like it.